Hey you guys, this is Nathan back with another video. Today we're looking at the Comica BoomX U. This is their U2 version of their product. So there are two lavalier microphones that come with the setup, as well as the receiver that receives it, and it either goes into your camera, into your smartphone, or you could set it up to like an audio interface or anything that can take just a headphone jack microphone to be able to get that audio into wherever you're recording it. So with that being said, let's take a look at this microphone setup. Now I'm currently using this setup and you're hearing the audio coming from it. I have the receiver just set up right there on the camera, so you're actually hearing audio right from there. And with being just about, 5 or 6 feet away from the camera, it should work pretty well perfectly. So during this review, if there's any like drops or any like audio issues or things like that, definitely that could be a big warning sign. Also, some people have said, hey, is it really that solid when you're moving around and things like that? So we'll test that as well. This system costs $250 on Amazon, and there's links down in the description below if you want to check it out and see other products from Comica. Comica did send this product out so I could review it. So I wasn't personally tasked with the decision of, do I buy this for $250 and use it? Instead, it was something where it was sent to me for review. With that being said, for $250, there's a bit of a challenge. On here, it does bolster that or claim that its working distance is up to 120 meters. That's nearly 400 feet of range in there. And the challenge with that claim is that as I've tested it, and there's gonna be a range test in this video where I'm gonna be walking out, and I've watched the video, and it's something where when the audio is coming through, it is clear, the quality's pretty good, but the further you get away, you start dropping, and if the receiver or the transmitter, if it's not like line of sight and stuff, there's times where it really does drop out badly. And that was a challenge for me, and I actually recorded this review once already where I really bashed on the product because of the range. And the more that I've thought about it, it's saying, what are you going to use it for? If you're in the demographic of people who are someone who's a YouTuber and you are going to be making YouTube videos, and it's just like, oh yeah, I just want to be mic'd up so it's a direct audio source and it's going to work good and not have to have a wire in between. Or maybe I'm micing for an interview, but something where people are still close by, that's something that works out really well. And I think that if you're not pushing the range at all, you definitely could find some good value in this product. Now, the challenge though is like if you're trying to mic a speaker who's up on stage and you're 100 feet away, in a 10-minute speech, you could have lots of drops. You could have lots of different things that go wrong, and I don't think that's what this product is set up for, but it is kind of what it was claimed on the box. So there's some discrepancies there that might give some red flags for this product. I even looked up in preparing for this video, there are different products that are from Sony or Sennheiser or Audio-Technica where they build lavalier setups that are similar to this, and even in some that sell for over $1,000 for just a receiver and a transmitter, just one mic, over $1,000 for a lavalier setup. And the reason why is because it's built so strong where the signal strength is going to really be able to give you that quality, but also that stability to know that this is a rock solid setup. That's something that a product like this from a company that's not, a forerunner in the audio world, they're just kind of a startup trying to get their name out there, and a product that sells for a budget price. If you're looking at wireless audio, the challenge is that really you can't expect too much from Comica here. But if you aren't pushing the range and you're staying close by, hopefully it can be a good setup for you. What I'm gonna do actually right now is I'm gonna walk around this room a little bit, just walking around, and seeing, hey, is there some good audio? Hey, is the audio dropping? Anything like that. As I'm turning around, the receiver's right here on my hip. So it's just a question on if the audio is good, but understanding that you're not gonna be getting massive range. Even in some of the other budget offerings like this, another company reached out with a similar product and said, hey, once you want to check this out, when I read their description of their product, it talks about how they recommend, the recommended range for it is like 90 feet, 30 meters. And that's something that's a lot more doable versus something like this where it's saying 400 feet. And in my testing, I look at that, I'm like, it seems too good to be true as far as that claim, and it doesn't really hold up in my test. But yeah, so that is there. It does come in this nice carrying case. I'm just going to review the product and give this audio that I'm talking time to either mess up or either prove that, hey, it can survive stuff like this. It is really nice because it'll be going straight into my camera. It'll be really good because that video file will be able to go straight into my laptop to edit it, and I won't have to sync things together. So it does save a step, but the question is whether or not it's going to be good enough quality. Also, if it's something where you are almost always going to be in a situation where you're just like talking head, stuff like that, you could get away with having just a mic on top of your camera, or like how I do often, I just have my mic here and it's being recorded on my laptop and I sync it together later. There's definitely some other good options. If you're looking at the $250 price point and you don't need it to be laved, there's Rode's VideoMic Pro. There's some really high-end options there where you could get some really great audio quality, but it would be mounted on your camera or on an external source, but not a lav setup. So different options there. I've talked enough. Let's look at this product. So user manual. Usually Comica does a good job with their user manuals. When you look at the items that are in here, what's nice is when you open these up, you've got the receiver. And with the receiver, you're able to, with the different buttons, navigate through the settings, and it's able to help you see, hey, this is the channel it's on, or hey, is this going to be sending out in mono or stereo? But after you mess around with it for a few minutes, usually it's pretty simple to find. What's really nice is that when you are trying to connect the devices together and make sure they're linked correctly, there's an infrared port on the side of all the devices, all three devices there. And if you put them together, like the receiver to the transmitter, put it together and you tell it to pair, that infrared is able to pair it where it's telling the device, hey, I want you to be on channel 1, and then it's telling the transmitter, hey, be on channel 1. All right, now are we connected? And you're connected. Really great setup there. One of the negative things about the receiver is that the way that it connects onto a camera with that cold shoe mount, and let me just grab you guys a cold shoe mount real quick for illustration. Their clips that are on here that would clip onto like a belt loop or to something, they also do connect onto a hot or a cold shoe mount, and they just connect on there like that. And it's in there, it's pretty good. Personally, I would have loved it to be something where it could be screwed down. Now, maybe that adds too much bulk for Comica and what they're wanting to do, but in my personal opinion, I would have loved it to be a normal port where it wouldn't be something where it could fall out. So if you're moving it around a lot, it might not be the best option. I could see them doing this for like the transmitter, but for the receiver, it really needs to be rock solid on there. So that's one little critique about the product. All right, so also the transmitters, they've got 2 buttons on there. You are able to do that low cut, so you're able to cut out some of that wind noise, things like that. And you are able to mute the mic as well. There's only 2 lights indicating whether the device is on and if it's transmitting. I mean, it does tell you if it is muted, but there's not a ton going on. One thing that's also nice on here is that the lavalier mics, they do plug in, and they even have a little plastic tab on them to help them really stay in, which is nice. But there's also a microphone just on the device itself. So if for whatever reason you didn't have your lav mic, you could still talk into it like it was a microphone and just handhold it. You could do that as well if you're in a pinch. So that is helpful to see. Now, with that being said, you have one more compartment in here that has all the goodies, is how I would explain it. So in here, you've got USB-C charging. All the devices charged by USB-C, the batteries are not replaceable. I would have loved to see it where they would have replaceable batteries, but so many people love the convenience of USB-C and just charging the devices. That's what they've come accustomed to. The challenge is when you look 5 years down the road with this device setup, the batteries probably won't last as long. You know, can you replace them? How is this all gonna work? Longevity wise, it's not the best system to buy if you're thinking, hey, I'm gonna keep this system for the next 5-10 years. So that's something to consider. But if you are thinking, hey, I'm an upcoming YouTuber or I'm an upcoming, you know, creative, hey, 5-10 years down the road, I'll be buying real nice equipment. I'll be able to really purchase something amazing. But if you're looking for something to be married to for the rest of your life, having just built-in batteries, not the best option. But that's just a long-term thing. You might not be too concerned about that. They do have adapters to go from the receiver into your camera, and they also have one built specifically for your smartphone, which is great. You will still need the dongle if your phone does not have a headphone jack, so that's just something you got to live with. They do have these little dead cats, so it goes over your lavalier mic. So if you're in a windy environment, you can put that on and cut down on some of that wind noise. That's nice that they include 2 of those there, and they do include 2 of these lavalier microphones. They're a good length. They go through your shirt. They connect onto the microphone fairly well. My one thing about it is that I've always had trouble, you know, hooking a lav mic up if it's going through your shirt. You might want to watch some videos on that because even for me, it still doesn't come super naturally. But you got to have it on there and just understand it's not direct audio, because direct audio, the ideal would be, hey, it's up and close to your mouth, or it'd be coming alongside your ear to your mouth basically, to get that direct audio as much as possible. But make it visible or as much as possible so you can get that good clean audio. It does include this cable here, which is XLR to an audio jack. This is the one cable that I'm kind of confused with. I suppose for pro cameras that use this and pro recording setups that use this, that makes sense. But if you're thinking you're gonna plug it into an audio system and then have your speaker up on stage, walking around, doing stuff, you're gonna drop a lot of audio during those times. So it's nice that they included this. It's just that people need to realize if you're buying it for the range, it's not gonna perform the way that you want it to. But yeah, I hope that this was helpful to walk through what the Comica BoomX U2 is all about. $250. If you're using it for a setup like this where you want that ease of use and you're ready to remind yourself to have those batteries charged, you're ready to go. If this audio has sounded good to you, this is just on volume level 12. You can go up from there and you can also go down from there, but that's kind of the default setting. But then also one other thing to note, with this setup, you got to be careful when you're buying wireless audio and you're spending, you know, $250 on it. There's so many other things you could purchase. Like you could try to save up for a new lens for your camera. You could buy a gimbal. You could buy all sorts of different things. Like for $250, check this out. I have a Focusrite Scarlett. I have an Audio-Technica AT2020, and I have a mic stand. You buy all 3 of those things, like the Scarlett is actually a bit more because it has 2 mic setups, but if you got the Solo, the Focusrite Solo, you could buy the whole setup for that $250 and have really solid, really concrete audio. But if you really need wireless, you got to understand you're going to be spending a lot for it. So if this is your next step in your creative career and what you're wanting to do, just be very careful and consider potentially saving up more money. Comica does sell more expensive lav setups, and so do other companies as well. So pick a company that you're comfortable with. When you get a device like this, test it out, run it through its paces as much as you can within the time frame where you're able to return it. If it doesn't meet up to your standards, or if it doesn't meet up to what it claims on the site. But you guys, I hope this has been helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye. You know, 10, 20, 30 feet. You know, we're going to 40, you know, going to 50. And as we're continuing to walk, you can think about how far away you are relative to your camera, and saying, what kind of audio am I wanting to record? And just to get like a wireless setup, you could be good, but the thing is, if you're trying to mic like a speaker for like a conference or something, and you're using that for your actual audio that you're pumping out to your people, you have to, or like to the event, like you got to be real careful with the equipment that you pick out. If it's just for like an interview style or something like that, and you know that you won't be too far away, you'll be really easy. Because like if you're within the, you know, 25, 50 feet, you know, you should be just fine. But the farther you get out, the tougher it gets, and you'll start to potentially hear those clipping, the different stuff that's just really unfortunate. So I hope the Comica does a job here with keeping things where it should be. They boaster, they say something like 400 feet of range, and you know, that's a good chunk of range. You know, the last system that I tested out from them was 200, and I thought that they did, you know, an okay job. But the question is, at these long distances where you can think of different stuff where, like, if you're recording something, just turn the mic, this could be a good solution for you. It's something where you just say, hey, I want direct audio, because maybe noise going on around that, something like a wouldn't be a good option, because like that's the thing, at $250, a top of the line professional on camera mic, Casey Neistat or different people, they use just their setup, they use the time is of very odd, you know, $250 up in the bucket. Part about audio, walk further out of range at this, but it would be nice to hear a little. It sounds your mic change, but help just outdoor environment. On the range device, I think you could be looking at a setup. It pairs using plenty of really noisy environment, a really heavily populated environment. It's something where you can monitor your output if you have someone helping you, and really that's the thing. This mic setup would be great if you have two people running it. So for me, and then for the camera operator, if you have two people running it, it can really be a really great setup, because they could monitor how it's sounding, versus saying, oh, I hope it sounds good here, or I hope everything's connected. But that's something where if you are doing it just on your own, you got to check your footage afterwards. You got to make sure your mic is still connected and working well. And what's nice is that on here, you know, I'm able to look at it and see that, oh yeah, I've got my mic on here, and I can see that it's on, that's transmitting. Unfortunately, because there's no screen on the transmitter itself, there's very little to what I can know about what's happening in this system until I get back to the camera. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But thank you guys so much for watching this range test of the Comica BoomX U2. Thank you guys. Bye.